Welcome to the USHCC Capitol Hill Day Luncheon. Please find your seats. We will begin our program in 15 minutes. Thank you. Friends and colleagues, please silence your mobile devices and find your seats. Our program begins in 5 minutes. Thank you. Buenas tardes. We welcome you to the 2022 USHCC Legislative Summit Capitol Hill Day Luncheon. Here to commence our program today is the co-founder of Valdez Productions, Inc., where she consults on marketing, media, and political strategy as an expert in the new American mainstream audience. Friends and colleagues, here to present on the Latino Data Report is Executive President for the Latino Donor Collaborative, Ms. Ana Valdez.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Ramiro. Hola. So I'm so excited to see that it's filling up and everybody's sitting down. Thanks for being here. It's been a fantastic conference, and I'm sure everybody is satisfied and also ready to go. So it's so exciting to see everybody, to say goodbye. Sit down, everybody, please. I would love to get your attention. Thank you, Leroy. That was very efficient. So, first of all, So great to see so many good friends, right? Getting together finally in person, it's such a blessing. So it's been fabulous. Second, thanks for having me here. My name is Ana Valdez. I'm the president of the Latino Donor Collaborative. And I want to thank the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Ramiro, Leroy, all the team. Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause. This was incredible. Thanks for everything that you do. We couldn't, all of us business people could never do what we do without you, so thank you so much. Second, I want to thank the sponsors, because without your support, we couldn't do everything that we do. So another round of applause for you guys also. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit of what we do at the Latino Donor Collaborative. And for the people that know us, we, as you know, are a nonprofit that creates data. Our mission is to change the narrative of who Latinos are in America to a fact-based narrative. We're not asking for favors, we're not marketing anything, we just want to make sure that people know the value of our community in this country. Why did we actually start this nonprofit? Because we realized that people know, Latinos in America know their own value. Each one of you in this room know the successes of yours, the successes of your family, the successes probably of your neighbors, etc. But we don't know the real value of who we are as a community. There are communities in this country that have a precise concept of who they are. And in general, it's usually positive, right? When you have a precise concept of who you are, it's usually positive. And in our case, we need that part. We need that identity. We need those numbers that show what we are doing for the United States of America, in the United States of America. So that's basically what we do at the Latino Donor Collaborative. Our uniqueness is that we're a little bit of a hybrid. We create this data based on, so we have partnerships for research. We partner with Stanford and with Columbia University, with UCLA and other universities. And also on the side of the big companies that create research, we partner with Boston Consulting Group and Accenture and Bain Capital and other companies that help us to dig out the information that already exists but nobody has put together, which is what are Latinos doing for this country? So that makes us really, really unique. And in general, our target has been CEOs, resource allocators in politics in different places. But now, starting last year, we want to show this information to our community because we realize that if we don't tell our community how great we are as a group, the concept of changing the narrative is impossible. We need to know who we are. That's the most important part, right? It's this part of identity and self-confidence that we all need. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about the misconception, and then I'm going to tell you the reality of the numbers. And again, I only have limited time, but I want to tell you that you can go to our website, latinodonorcollaborative.org, and get all this information for free. I just spoke to wonderful partners and friends of ours, and I'm not going to mention names, but you all have told me how much you're using these numbers for your business, when you want to be, do procurement with a company, when you are starting your own business, when you are, even applying for school for your kids, right? So these numbers really give you power, not only for your business, but for your own self-awareness. Perceptions, we know this, right? Perception is that all Latinos are immigrants, which is of course not true. I happen to be an immigrant, but the majority of people here are not, right? So 67% of US Latinos actually were born here, and they were not born here first, second, or third generation. Some people in this room, your families have been here since before British people came in. I always joke that the fact that the states such as California, Nevada, Oregon, Montana, Nevada, Nuevo Mexico, Texas, Florida, Colorado, they weren't not named in Spanish because British people wanted us to name it. They were named in Spanish because we built those states much before British or any other immigrant came in. Thank you. And that's the exciting part of these numbers. And that's the exciting part about this narrative that we're creating, which is we want to know this. And we want to make people aware we know it. Again, you knew it. What I just told you, you knew. But we've never put it as a concept, right? And when we say it, it's catchy, it's important, and it shows the impact that we've had in this country from 500 years ago and even more. So, second biggest myth, all Latinos speak Spanish as their first language. Again, I do. I was born and raised in Mexico City. But most of you don't, right? And so we need to start being part of the English mainstream everything. English mainstream media, English mainstream training, pipelines, business, access to capital, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's another myth that we need to constantly be combating. Another one is that we're all low income and that therefore we have low purchasing power. The truth is that all the reports that we have created, and some of our other partners have created, say that the highest upward mobility in America is from Latinos. Even the Asian community, they come here with certain levels, so the difference between their arrival and their end of their life is not as different. Our people come here with nothing, and their kids are going to UCLA and Harvard and other universities, and they're being educated. The latest UCLA numbers say that Latinos have a dropout of 9% of high school. Imagine if in my country, or whoever is immigrant in our countries where we come from, we had a 91% graduation of high school. Our countries would be first world countries. So that's who we are here. Our community is a first world community in this country. Also, 67% of those people enroll in college. Imagine that extrapolated to other countries. This is incredible. I'm going to show you other numbers. So again, the myths you know, the reality you don't know yet, but you will know through these numbers. And I really hope that not only you go to our website and look at them, but you use them. You use them everywhere, personally, in your professional life, everywhere. So the truth is that our numbers show that Latinos are the new mainstream economy. And that's another phrase that we constantly talk about, because I'm going to show you this. The LDC creates the Latino GDP report, and which are numbers that you probably have heard because we're lucky enough to have made them mainstream, right? The presidents have used it over and over, and of course CEOs use it, banks use it. Many of you here have used it, and we're proud of it. That's why we do it, so that you actually distribute it and use it as many times as possible. The latest Latino GDP report, the one that we just released in September, say that $2.75 trillion of the GDP in America is produced by Latinos. And you see this 2.7, and you say, well, it's a lot, right? But we don't know really how much. I'm going to put it in context. If Latinos in the United States were an economy by themselves, they would be the 7th largest economy in the world. So if we were a country, just Latinos in the US, we would be a bigger economy than Canada, Brazil, Russia, Italy. And our projections show that this year our Latino GDP will report that we're now above United Kingdom. So again, who we are, right? It's amazing. Remember this, we are 60 million Latinos approximately. China is 1.2 billion or 1.4 billion. India is 1.2 billion. We're 60 million, and we're the 7th largest economy in the world if we were an economy. More importantly, the trends. Where do we come from and where are we going? Out of the 10 top countries in the world, Latinos would be the 3rd fastest growing if they were an economy, only below China and India. So not only we show that we are contributing tremendously, but we're going to keep contributing more and more and more, because our average age, Latinos' average age is 28 years, and the average age of non-Latinos in America is 42 years. That means that our kids haven't even integrated into the workforce, and we're already driving the economy as it is. I have to check the time. Oof, I think I passed it. Anyway, but all this to tell you, there are so many numbers on our website. This last graphic is important because the growth is not coming only from California. or Texas, or Illinois. The growth is coming from places like North Dakota, from Michigan, from Wisconsin, from Pennsylvania. So we're actually growing everywhere, and we're making these economies bigger and bigger because we're bringing the workforce that unfortunately is not available in this country. As you know, 7 million jobs were not filled before the pandemic. Today, there are 11 million jobs not filled. So all this to tell you, I'm so excited to be here. Again, I am so excited to be part of this conference, which brings us all together. All these numbers are from our website. You have to see them. But long story short, I want to finish with my last message to your companies and to you. Companies and anybody that has resource allocating power, show Latinos some love, and they will love you back because our loyalty, our purchasing power. If not, somebody else will. Thank you very much.
Servant, our next guest speaker serves as the president and CEO of Unidos US, the largest national Hispanic civil rights and advocacy organization in the United States. She has received numerous accolades for the role she plays for social change in our country and was recently listed as one of USA Today's Women of the Year. The USHCC is proud to collaborate with Unidos US on Proyecto 20%, advocating for more political appointments and diverse representation across government agencies in the Biden-Harris administration. Proyecto 20% aims to secure approximately 850 out of 4,000 political appointments for Latino and Latina professionals who are ready and willing to serve their country. Friends and colleagues, please welcome to the stage Miss Janet Murguia.
Órale. Buenas tardes. How's everybody doing? Oh, wow. What an honor to be asked to come here and help share with you some important information, not just about Unidos US, organization that I'm very proud to be at the helm in this particular moment in time, previously known as the National Council of La Raza. We are now working to advance important issues for our community, and we do so with a long legacy of impact. I'm really proud of the work that Unidos has led, working with a network of community-based organizations across this country. But what strikes me, and one of the reasons I'm particularly honored to be here, is that we never do this work alone. As an individual, as an organization, we need allies and partners. And certainly when it comes to the Latino community, we need to be united in our common goals and aspirations. And this is where the partnership with the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Unidos US intersect. Because when it comes to economic empowerment and building a trajectory of upward mobility for our community, we have a common goal. And I couldn't be more thrilled than to partner with your leader, Ramiro Cavazos. I'm here today because when Ramiro asked me to participate, when he asked me to partner, and when I asked him to partner, we come together. And there's power in that partnership, power in that allyship. And today, one of the initiatives that we've partnered on with other Latino-led organizations is an initiative called Proyecto 20%. Even before the new administration was put in place, before the elections in November, I worked with some of our leaders across different organizations and knew how important it would be to be prepared for any administration that would come in place and need to appoint and nominate individuals talented professionals to be part of this administration, whether it was in the White House or in any of the cabinet agencies on down. And so we came together, and Ramiro was one of the first people who said, I'm there, let's do this, and let's make sure we can collaborate and partner to get the best list of potential nominees, the best list of professionals, the best talent that we can find, because no more are we going to hear, well, we can't really find anyone who can serve in that role. That is no longer acceptable, and it will not be acceptable, because I'm looking out at this crowd here. You see the networks in which you're connected to, and we have so much talent to offer, but we aren't always given that equal chance to participate. But Ramiro Cavazos knows that we have to make sure that equity, when we're creating opportunity, is the lens in which we look through. And so I'm really excited that we've come together with at least about 11 organizations that have joined forces to say, we're going to have a database, we're going to work to connect with organizations that have worked with this talent, and we're going to make sure that when President Biden said he wanted an administration that looked like America, that it's going to look like all of America, and that the Latino community will be included. And so we have seen great progress. You've heard from probably some of the cabinet secretaries, and it was history-making to see an administration lead with 4 major cabinet secretary appointments who were Latino or Latina, and we should give them credit. It's really important. And we've also seen some incredible appointments across key agencies, because why do we do this? Yes, we want there to be representation, but not just for the sake of representation. We know that when Latinos or Latinas, as talented professionals, are put in these places, that they share common experiences and common values that they can bring to the table and into the room where it happens, where decisions are made. And we need that perspective, because the other philosophy behind this is that people are policy. Personnel is policy when it comes to these administrations. So when you have individuals represented in those decision-making processes, whether it's about the language in the laws and how they're going to be interpreted, or about the policies that are going to be promoted in any executive actions, or if it's about key investments that we now know can be directed to those communities that most need it, those individuals become extremely important. So I'm proud of the progress that we've made. There is more to be done. We have seen certain agencies that still have yet to appoint senior leaders in those departments. Agencies, to be quite honest, like the Department of Justice. I'm very disappointed and frustrated that we still, in an agency that is so important, that intersects with our community in so many different ways, that we still have yet to see a major significant appointment. And while we're going to continue to provide great qualified names, and I do give President Biden credit, that was my guy, I do give President Biden a lot of credit for appointing more Latina and Latino judges who represent the diversity of this country, and we're super excited to have the first African-American woman to be nominated and now confirmed shortly to the Supreme Court. That matters so much, because I know what it meant to see Sonia Sotomayor nominated to represent and be confirmed on the highest court in the land. And just to build on Anna's comments, if our young people don't see themselves in these roles, whether it's in the highest levels of government, in the White House positions, or on media, in film, entertainment, it affects not just how others see us, but how we see ourselves. So all of this is to say that we're going to continue to work in partnership, in allyship with Ramiro, with the USHCC, but with all the organizations that can help us lift up the important need to see that representation and then to see how we can sustain this going into the future. This should never be a one-off for any one administration. Our future, as you all know, as we see our demographics, every year 1 million Latinos and Latinas turn 18. Not only does that mean we should be voting and making sure everyone is registered to vote, but it also speaks to the future workforce. We need to make sure everyone's prepared to enter that workforce ready, but we need to make sure that we're highlighting the need for these positions in any given administration are filled with folks who have the brightest potential and those shared experiences with our community, and make sure that pipeline will be there for years to come. So honored to be here in solidarity with Ramiro, his leadership, and with the partnership that will always be a strong one between Unidos US and the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. It's an honor and a privilege. Thank you so much. Adelante.
Distinguished guests, the USHCC Capital Day Luncheon will continue shortly. As we begin our meal service break, be sure to share your USHCC Legislative Summit memorable moments on our Twitter and Instagram live feed, brought to you by T-Mobile. Be sure to tag your social media posts using the hashtags USHCC Legislative, USHCC, and T-Mobile Business. Please enjoy your meal. Buen provecho. Colleagues and friends, members, and distinguished guests. He has worked to grow America's economy by supporting small, minority, and women-owned businesses for more than 3 decades. A trusted economic development expert, he is leading the USHCC, America's largest business advocacy organization for Hispanics. Please give a warm welcome for President and CEO, Ramiro Cavazos.
Órale, no tengan miedo. Good morning. Good morning. Buenos dias. Thank you so much for being with us this week. This is an important gathering. As I said the other day, 3 years we have not seen each other in Washington, D.C. at this event. So muchísimas gracias to each of you. I want to thank, on behalf of our chairwoman, Alice Rodriguez, who flew out early this morning, and our board of directors. Please join me in thanking our board of directors and our staff for all of the work that they've done. Thank you. But we have a succession plan, and we have our chair-elect Nelson Ranieri with us in the house. Nelson, thank you. Thank you, Nelson. So, we are in great shape. Today we've had some meetings with Congress people and senators, and so thank you all for being here. I have the honor and the privilege of introducing Congressman Joaquin Castro. And I'm going to read his bio briefly for those of you that may not know him, but he is a special young man that is a great leader for the Latino community. And as I said earlier, no tengan miedo, él no tiene miedo. He's the kind of leader you want. Let's give him a round of applause. I want to thank Janet, of course, who spoke earlier, and Ana Valdez. They're both powerful leaders. And Ana, thank you for your great data. And of course, Janet for her collaboration and really setting the gold standard for how nonprofits should be run. She and Antonio Tejerino are the people we follow around Washington for how to get it done right. And I think Antonio's here. Let's give Antonio muchísimas gracias. Thank you. He hasn't given me permission to call him Tony yet, but I officially call him Antonio out of respect. And Marla, buenos dias, running the ALCAB. Let's give her a round of applause. Another great leader, Marla Balanek. If you want to know about CDFIs, talk to her because she's the leader on that. So thanks to our sponsors, thanks to our chamber leaders and our small businesses. Just want to mention a few other key people that have joined us. Arturo Cáceres with L-Band. Dominica Lynch with Aspen, thank you. Ying McGuire with NMSDC, thank you, Ying. Jose Perez, Hispanics in Energy. Cindy Benavides with LULAC. Ignacio Salazar with SER. And of course, Amy Hinojosa with MANA. All of these great leaders, are collaborators of ours that Janet was referencing. And in particular, I thanked our board, but also want to thank the board members of our educational fund. Ruben Barrales is here, and Angie Garcia Lathrop with Bank of America, who chairs our senior executive corporate. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Joaquin Castro was born September 16th, 1974. I was born September 16th, 1961. And he's always honest. So I'm a little bit older than the congressman, but I've seen his trajectory. He is a representative in the U.S. Congress who represents the 20th District of Texas, where for many years, Henry B. Gonzalez, the first Latino congressman, in the U.S., and his son Charlie led, and Joaquin has followed and blazed his own trail with his bold leadership. He's a member of the Education, Foreign Affairs, and Intelligence Committees. He works on so many important issues vital to our community, He has literally passed and introduced hundreds of bills, and he has a success rate of 93.5% in getting them out of committee. Let's give him a round of applause. He also is chairman of the Spain-U.S. Council that was created about 20-something years ago to bring Spain and the U.S. together. And I just want to thank him for doing that. At the same time, he was chairing the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute. He's a graduate of Thomas Jefferson High School. He grew up in the public school system in San Antonio. He went to Stanford undergrad, and he has his doctorate of jurisprudence. He's a lawyer from Harvard. They grew up as a family that pursued the American dream, worked hard, and used education as clearly the great equalizer to achieve that dream. It is my distinct honor to introduce to you my friend, Congressman Joaquin Castro.
Good afternoon, everybody. Great to be with you. How's everybody doing? Good. Well, welcome back to Washington and in-person events. It's great to see everybody's faces. I'm Joaquin Castro, and I proudly represent my hometown of San Antonio, Texas, here in the United States House of Representatives. We have some San Antonians here, some Texans here. Great. Although we love everybody from everywhere, but it's always great to see San Antonians and Texans. As you all know, the last 2 years now for our country has been very difficult in terms of the economy, in terms of people's health, the damage that our nation has suffered over the past 2 years, and the damage that the world has suffered over the past 2 years. And while this pandemic, of course, is not completely over, the United States is recovering. We're regaining jobs, our businesses are bouncing back, our people are recovering. But COVID-19, as you know, hit Latinos in the Latino community especially hard. And COVID-19 hit our businesses especially hard. As a legislator, and I'm sure members of the city council, state representatives, other members of Congress, and many of you were getting frantic calls during the pandemic about businesses that were dying, literally. Some that had survived for generations. I know there were a few businesses in San Antonio that had operated for more than 50 years that were deathly afraid that the next week would be their last week in business. And so I was very proud to support billions of dollars in PPP loans and other support for our businesses across the country during the pandemic. And we still need to do more. We need more COVID relief for the American people. And so I want to dispense really quickly with the thank yous to everybody. Of course, thank you to Ramiro, thank you to the Chamber, and also the acknowledgments for everybody in their incredible work. And because I only have a few minutes with you, I want to get to something that's been very important to me for the past 2 years in particular. And I have two special projects in my office. One of them is around Latino representation across media platforms. And I've been working with Ana and Janet and so many other folks on this issue. The other issue is particular my hometown, but I believe it's also indicative of what's going on across the country, and I wanted to talk to you about that today. In January of 2021, I asked my staff to request from the public entities in San Antonio, Texas, a city that is the largest majority Latino city of any city in the United States. My hometown is 64% Latino. I asked them to request the numbers on small minority women business contracting with the energy company, the water company, the city of San Antonio, the county, the college district, the transportation company, etc. And these are those numbers. Hopefully you can see them on the screen. Bear in mind, San Antonio, again, is 64% Latino. The highest performing entity of all of the entities was the city of San Antonio in terms of contract dollars awarded to Latino firms, Latino and Latina firms, at 32%. On the low end was, as you can see, the Port of San Antonio, which in a city of 64% Latino was contracting at about 2 or 3%, depending on the time of year, with Latino businesses. You can see how our city becomes the most economically segregated city in the United States. You can also see how our city gets ranked consistently, including this year, as the most impoverished metro area in the country. Now again, I'm using San Antonio as a model because this isn't the only place that has challenges, as you know. And so if you look at these numbers, you can see how there's over the years, there's this idea, we encourage Latinos and Latinas, and we're a very entrepreneurial group of folks, a very entrepreneurial community. But to me, this slide shows that even when folks start their own businesses, oftentimes when they try to compete for contracts, even at public entities, they are essentially being shut out for different reasons. Sometimes it's a matter of lack of certification. Sometimes it's lack of bonding capacity. Sometimes they don't have the proper support for the application or RFP process. And quite honestly, sometimes it's good old boy and legacy systems that are continuing to lock them out of getting some of these contracts. And so, I don't know, they told me Dominica Lynch was here from the Aspen Institute. I'm working with Dominica and others at the Aspen Institute and Drexel University. And also, I know the University, or the Illinois State Chamber of Commerce is working on this as well in a slightly different version, but we're going to partner up on a procurement playbook and also an execution plan to systematically go through and figure out how we improve those numbers at public entities across San Antonio and Texas and across the country. And the reason that I wanted to bring that up with you all today, and I know the Hispanic Chamber does great work, the U.S. Chamber does great work with our businesses, is I believe that y'all should ask each of your local elected officials, and I'm going to include myself in that as a congressperson for San Antonio, ask them to stay on top of this issue and stay on top of our public entities and make sure that they hold those public entities accountable to fair contracting processes, to making sure that proper information is getting out to Latino and Latina businesses, and that also that they're making the outreach effort and the training efforts, the support efforts necessary so that our businesses can compete and can succeed. Because I believe that our businesses have the same potential as any other businesses in the country, that our folks are very entrepreneurial, that there's a lot of ingenuity there, and that right now that's not being reflected in the numbers that we see. And by the way, those are the numbers with the public entities. If you looked in San Antonio at the numbers with the big private companies, although I haven't gotten there yet, I would suspect that the numbers are even lower, right? So if those are the public numbers, then the private numbers are probably even worse. And so we have a lot of work to do to make sure that in the procurement space that our businesses are successful. And I look forward to partnering with you all over the years in making sure that we do that for our businesses. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard for a city like San Antonio, for my hometown, to move out of that category as the most impoverished major metro area, to move out of the category of the most economically segregated city in the country. And so I wanted to come here today and ask for y'all's support on that and let you know that I'm looking at it for my hometown, but I also think that y'all should make sure that elected officials throughout the country are also looking at this effort. So thank y'all. Very best of luck during your time in D.C. here this week. Thank you for the invitation to be with y'all.
Next speaker has more than 25 years of worldwide agricultural and supply chain experience, including appointments to the California Board of Agriculture and Food and the board of the National Latino Food Industry. Please give a round of applause for the president and founder of AG Tools, Inc., Miss Martha Montoya.
Well, hello, good afternoon. I'm here to talk about supply chain, a topic that is now so discussed in the industry and the world. Ever since I got involved in the chambers, which became my family, I have heard from leaders, legislators, entrepreneurs, a common denominator. We come from production lines. We work for as farm workers. We work on factories. We work in restaurants. We have been part of the supply chain. We just didn't know. You see, little by little, we got into the system, or we have been in the system, and now a supply chain has exploded. We should start taking advantage of it. Before it all started, because all started with toilet paper, when we couldn't find toilet paper in March of 2020, we realized that we had to start understanding where supply chain came from. So there's a famous gentleman, Frederick Taylor, who's kind of the pioneer of supply chain. How do we load better anything to send it from point A to point B? And then came World War II, and in 1940s, how do we palletize? How do we put things on pallets so we can ship into different parts of the world? But yet, many of us that we are doing production lines around the world knew that supply chain was hanging from a thin rope. There were so many inefficiencies that it was just a matter of time. In fact, we used to put all these losses under the rug, or we created a P&L line that said losses. And when COVID-19 hit, we understood that we were all so interconnected that now we had to figure out how we were going to survive this. But the interesting thing is that when I was recruited to run the LBA, which is the chamber in the Los Angeles area, to run the largest B2B event as a volunteer, logistics was part of it, because it used to be called logistics supply chain. And I figured, how do we apply what we knew? And I found so many Latinos that do what I did, which is run a production line for the least amount of money in the least amount of time. So we were ready for supply chain at that point. I just didn't know at that point that us Hispanics have been in this country doing this around. So little by little, what we did is we said, okay, how do we make sure that we, the Latinos, start engraving ourselves in this whole supply chain? When I started doing the production lines, let's say the banana boat that I used to ship from Ecuador to St. Petersburg, I understood that many of our Hispanics were part of the how do we save, how do we take care of it, which comes from our Latina mothers, our grandmothers. We made the most out of nothing, and our grandmas and our mamas did. So if you look at the common denominator in the supply chain, and I want you to think for a minute, everything comes from nature. Whether it's your phone and lithium, whether it's your clothes and cotton, whether it's the chip and silicone, or your broccoli, anything comes from nature. And so what we didn't know is that we were depleting the world as we were going through this whole food waste around all the waste that we were doing in the world. So think about it. We throw around 4,900 truckloads per day of food from the farms to the distribution centers that never make it even to the distribution centers. 4,900 truckloads. And then worldwide, 62,500. So think the impact on the earth, the impact on soil, water, and more important, the impact on our farmers across the world. That's why we're losing our farmers. There's not enough of it to keep up with these losses. If you leave today, and there's a message I will leave you with, is that supply chain is not a linear thinking. It's an overall thinking. There's 76 variables that impact our supply chain around the world. I'll give you a couple examples. How about the weather destination? How is it that we ship truckloads from Salinas to Florida when there's a storm coming? It never makes it. How is it that we're going to send a vessel to New York in a holiday and it's not going to open the vessel, the ports? And so on and so forth. All those 76 variables start stacking around the world, and a war like Russia right now is pushing heavily the Americas and all the farmers in the Americas not to have a destination for a product. So at the end of the day, when I look at our room and our leaders, and when I step out a couple years out of the Hispanic market, I realized that we are leaders not only for USA, but for the Americas and for the world. Because anything that happens here is going to impact around the world. I'm going to give you 2 case studies so you understand how this whole dynamic is happening. I have today Paola and Mauricio from Fortune Farms, and they are the leading importers of broccoli into the United States from Mexican farmers in Mexico. This is a Latino company in Chicago producing broccoli when there's no broccoli in the United States by Mexican farmers in Mexico. That's how we're connected. And so what is it that they're thinking? Well, we need to be more efficient in order to make sure that we make money. Obviously, they make money, and obviously, they sustain the farmers. So the words that they use now is precision farming. They use the word predictive agriculture, because they had to pivot. We all have to start pivoting to understand that we have to be more efficient around the world, not only because of financial reasons, but because of natural resources. Or we have another case study, Joe del Bosque, a wonderful farmer in California, which used to be one of the largest cantaloupe producers in the United States. And he had to pivot because we're eating more organic, more healthy. So he now is the largest organic farmer in the United States of cantaloupe, because he went and looked for the seed that can manage the organic elements and can be delivered all the way to the East Coast. So 2 case studies of how we Latinos do and can pivot. Obviously, the industry is the food. So we Hispanics are at the moment of U.S. history where we are pushing for the growth, we're pushing to stay in the industry, or in the business industry, but we need to use our creativity, our hard working, and definitely our networking. I'll never forget when Professor Porras at Stanford said, think large, think big, pivot, and that's what I did. From shipping strawberries or berries or oranges around the world to turn around and convert the company into a technology company, we all have to start looking into the future, because not it's only for us, but for what we're going to leave for our kids and grandkids. So remember, as I walk out of stage, there's 76 variables, think globally, that are impacting every single product or element that you have in a table, a home, or anywhere that you eat or consume or wear. So with that, I leave you, and I thank you for having me, and hopefully you know something about supply chain today.
Nearly 4 decades, she has been at the forefront of the staffing industry in the U.S. and Mexico, and is internationally recognized as a human capital solutions expert. Her company, Forma Automotive LLC, is the first Hispanic woman-owned direct Tier 1 supplier to Toyota. Please welcome founder and chief executive officer of the Santana Group and USHCC board member, Ms. Rosa Santana.
Buenas tardes. Can you hear me? I can't hear myself for some reason, but anyway. So I have the pleasure of introducing Congressman Ruben Gallego. Congressman Gallego represents the 7th District of Arizona, including parts of Phoenix, Glendale, and Tucson in the U.S. House of Representatives. He was first elected in 2014. Representative Gallego is a Marine Corps combat veteran, a lifelong community leader, and the son of Hispanic immigrants. He also told me that he's not an attorney. He was the first in his family to attend college, graduating from Harvard University. Congressman Gallego enlisted in the Marine Corps and deployed to Iraq in 2005 as an infantryman, serving with Lima Company, 3rd Battalion, 25th Marines. His company saw some of the worst fighting of the Iraq War, losing 22 Marines and a Navy corpsman to enemy action in 8 months. Following his experience in Iraq, Congressman Gallego committed to ensuring that servicemen and women are never sent in harm's way without a plan for winning the fight, securing the peace, and providing post-conflict medical, psychological, and familial care. Representative Gallego has largely focused on U.S. national security in his time in Washington. As a member of the House Armed Services Committee, he has led the response to Russia's attack on NATO, maintaining that European deterrence initiative following President Trump's efforts to cut the vital defense program. He has led the effort to support frontline allies like Baltic states and protect our forces in Germany and across Europe. He has ensured that U.S. forces, Korea, the front line of our defense against North Korea, remain a credible deterrent force. He has led the response to companies like Huawei and ZTE, criminal state-detected organizations that threaten our national security and our next-generation infrastructure. He believes in retaining the United States' qualitative military edge and in employing U.S. military power only when necessary. Representative Gallego believes in improving the health and welfare of veterans by first working to prevent unnecessary wars. When the fighting starts, he believes in providing them with the equipment and training to win. After combat, he believes in supporting veterans and their families to treat acute and chronic health issues, continue their education, and continue to serve as private citizens. Congressman Gallego was elected to the Arizona House of Representatives in 2010 and served until 2014. As a state legislator, Congressman Gallego became known for his tough stand against extreme legislation pushed by the Republicans in the state legislature. He also led the push for Medicaid expansion and to secure in-state tuition for veterans. Congressman Gallego is also a member of the House Natural Resources Committee, where he serves as chairman of the National Resources Subcommittee for Indigenous Peoples of the United States, a position from which he fights tirelessly to uphold tribal sovereignty and our federal trust responsibility to Native Americans and Alaska Natives. As chairman, he held the first ever House hearing on missing and murdered Indigenous women, oversaw the House passage of Carcieri Fix legislation affirming tribal nations' right to sovereign homelands, and championed investment in broadband and other critical infrastructure at tribal land, or on tribal land. He has advocated for cornerstone federal land and wildlife conservation laws and worked to improve public access to America's iconic public lands. Congressman Gallego is an assistant whip for the Democratic Caucus, first vice chair for the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, vice chair and tribal liaison of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and vice chair of the LGBT Equality Caucus. Phew! Anyway, help me in welcoming Congressman Gallego.
I was just talking to my staff. We need to shorten that bio. I feel you guys got all the info on me. I mean, all you're missing is the ages of my sisters and, when my first kiss was, not saying. But thank you so much. And it is difficult to replace such an icon and powerhouse as Nydia Velasquez, the chairwoman of the Small Business Committee. But I try to follow in her heels. And if you know the chairwoman, she's got amazing 6-inch stiletto heels. So I will obviously do my best. And thank you to many of you that I have seen again for the second time. I think I saw many of you guys at the Unidos conference not too long ago. My staff did not know that, so they ended up giving me the same speech. So we'll see how this goes. But I do want to thank everyone here for, obviously, the success that you have brought to yourself, to your community, and to your country. If it wasn't for the Latino community, we know that this country would be poorer, both actually culturally, but also, GDP-wise and economic-wise. We have 5 million Latino-owned businesses that contribute over $800 billion to the American economy every year. That $800 billion makes a difference, has an impact. As a matter of fact, I was backstage trying to rewrite the speech, and I heard the $8 billion fact, and I looked it up. Of all the countries in the world, if the Latino community here in the United States was its own country, this country, or the Latino community of the United States, would be richer than Brazil. If we were our own country, we'd be richer than South Korea. If we were our own country, the GDP that we actually produce would be bigger than Italy. Think about that, right? We have provided so much richness to this country that we are literally the size of the GDP of some of the biggest powers in the world. So let's give us a round of applause for that. And you just can't deny it every day when we see the stats that who is actually starting businesses right now. In some of the toughest economic situations, whether it was the post-recession of 2008 or now the post-pandemic, we have Latinos that are starting businesses at faster rates than any other population. And even within those Latinos, it's obviously the Latinas that are leading the way. Thank you so much. And we can't forget also just what we did to keep this country alive. When I say we kept this country alive, we certainly did it during COVID, right? And I am very proud to represent a 65% working class Latino districts. And it was Latinos and Latinas, workers, businessmen that went out every day during COVID to continue to work the fields, stock the shelves, clean the hospitals, be the doctors, be the nurses, everything. We were the persons that were also, taking care of them on the way to the hospital and out of the hospital. We were doing this when we didn't even know what COVID was. I was out there trying to hand out PPE to all my constituents, and I saw these men and women, some that barely spoke English, that would get up every day and go to work because they loved their family and they loved their country, and they knew that right now, at this point, when everyone was scared about the pandemic, was scared about COVID, was scared what's going to happen in the future, that they were going to continue doing what they do like all Latinos do. We work hard for our families, and we work hard for our country. And we kept this country alive through two of the hardest years the country has ever seen. So let's not allow people to take away that patriotism that we earned, right? There's patriotism you can earn in the battlefield. You don't want to do that. It's a little hard. It's very dangerous. But we as a community have earned the battlefield, have earned the promotion and the patriotism by working every day to make this country great, and we deserve a round of applause for that too. But besides a round of applause, that means that we also deserve a seat at the table, at the decision-making tables. Whether it is in the halls of Congress, the White House, the Senate, whether it is at the top companies in this country where we should be filling every C-suite possible, where it is being the heads of nonprofits, we have earned our spot. We have earned our spot there, and we have earned our spot for everyone else behind us that should come. So let's keep on moving forward. But the only place that we have been able to do that, or the only reason we have been able to do that, is because of organizations like United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And I am telling you, as a young man coming back from Iraq, so the first events I went to were actually sponsored by United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And it was a great feeling to meet so many businessmen and women from Arizona that helped me and get my first jobs, that really have connected me for the rest of my life. And then years later, I got to meet this awesome guy named Ramiro on a trip to Israel, and we've been friends ever since. And to my delight, now he is heading this amazing organization. And I'm sure our friendship is not the reason why you guys are coming to Phoenix from October 2nd through the 4th, but I like to think I helped a little on that. But when you're there, I hope you enjoy your time. I hope you will enjoy and see the renaissance that actually has happened in Phoenix. Phoenix itself, you have a booming downtown, you have a booming restaurant scene. Let's not forget, it was the Latinos that actually led that in the city of Phoenix. You will actually see a city and a state that finally has embraced its Latino culture, its Latino roots, and finally people have recognized and have said that this is the place that I want to be, this is where I want to grow my business, this is where I want to continue to raise my family. So I hope you enjoy your time there. Should you get in trouble, do not call me. Should you want to get in trouble, then maybe call me, though. Gracias, and I hope you have a great time.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you for your friendship. And we are excited to be going to Phoenix. There was a competitive process. We did have proposals. We did have a board committee. And Congressman, thank you for not just your leadership, but your friendship and the power you bring to the seat that you hold. These are times that really matter. Before I introduce this video sponsored by Visit Phoenix, I wanted to take a point of personal privilege and thank Jackie Puente, the chairwoman of our Government Affairs Committee, who has delivered this great conference. Thank you, Jackie. She's amazing. Thank you, Jackie, for your inspiration and the partnership. We have a working board, and we are so glad the content has been great. And before I introduce the video, I want to recognize a small business owner, Eddie, who's our photographer. Eddie, gracias. So with that, we look forward to seeing you in Phoenix. Phoenix, thank you for your sponsorship, and to Monica Villalobos, they're great. CEO of the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Join me in enjoying this video, advancing and promoting the great city of Phoenix.
So, let me ask you a question. What's stopping you? We all have something blocking us, holding us back. But you have to get out there to overcome it. You have a radiance within you, born with a gift to give to the universe. We all do. Like the indigenous people before us, they created canals that fed an entire civilization. They brought life to this land, the Sonoran Desert beneath your feet, born to thrive. Our stories are written on our walls, expressed in the streets, shared in the hearts of our people. We are connected by the rhythm of this land. It moves us, binds us, defines us. Here, we speak one language, unity. Inspired by wild beasts and moved by footsteps of mighty warriors. You belong here in the spotlight, pursuing the horizon, rising with the sun, capturing its radiance. Phoenix is where the greatest version of you emerges.
Thank you to all our members, attendees, guest speakers, and corporate partners for contributing to the success of the 2022 United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Legislative Summit, Back to Business, Strengthening Our Economic Recovery. On a final note, the USHCC, in partnership with the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce, invites you to join us in the beautiful city of Santa Fe, New Mexico, for the inaugural 2022 USHCC Energy Summit, happening April 21st through 22nd. Visit ushcc.com for more information.